When we think of the birth of kingdoms, we often imagine epic battles for territory, glittering treasures, or the rise of powerful rulers. But the story of the Taulantii Confederation, nestled in the rugged lands of ancient Illyria, began with something far more unexpected: a drink. Their most significant military campaign wasn't about land or gold, it was about mead, their cherished honey wine, a beverage that held a special place in their hearts and traditions. Mead was more than just a drink for the Illyrians. It was a symbol of prosperity, a marker of celebration, and a thread that wove together generations. At feasts and ceremonies, mead flowed freely, connecting the people to their ancestors and to each other. The making of mead was a sacred craft, passed down through families, and its presence at the table was a sign of both wealth and deep-rooted tradition. The Taulantii's quest to control honey-rich lands was not just a matter of taste, it was a matter of survival. These fertile regions, abundant with wild bees and flowering meadows, became the focus of fierce conflict with their powerful neighbors, the Macedonians. The struggle for these lands was as much about protecting a way of life as it was about defending borders. For the Taulantii, securing the sources of mead meant safeguarding their identity. It was about ensuring that future generations could continue to gather, to celebrate, and to honor their ancestors with the same rituals. The fight for mead was a fight for cultural survival, not just economics or power. This so-called honey wine war reveals how the most ordinary traditions, like sharing a drink, can ignite extraordinary events. It reminds us that history is often shaped not just by kings and armies, but by the everyday customs that define a people. The Taulantii's struggle shows how fiercely communities will fight to preserve what makes them unique. The Taulantii were more than just warriors. They were farmers, beekeepers, artisans, and storytellers. People deeply tied to their land and their customs. Their connection to the earth and to each other was at the heart of their society, shaping their values and their vision for the future. And so, the story of the Taulantii Confederation begins not with conquest or ambition, but with the simple, powerful desire to preserve what made them who they were, a people united by tradition, resilience, and the sweet taste of mead that echoed through the ages. The Taulantii were one of the most prominent and influential Illyrian tribes to inhabit the Western Balkans, their legacy echoing along the sun-drenched shores of the Adriatic Sea. For centuries, they played a central role in the region's history, shaping the cultural and political landscape of what is now Albania and its neighboring territories. Their story is one of resilience, adaptation, and ambition, a people who thrived at the crossroads of ancient civilizations. The heartland of the Taulantii stretched across central and northern Albania, a region marked by dramatic contrasts, lush valleys, rolling hills, and rugged mountains. This diverse landscape provided both opportunities and challenges, shaping the character and lifestyle of the people who called it home. Their territory was a patchwork of fertile plains ideal for agriculture, highlands that offered natural fortifications, and bustling port cities like Epidamnus, known today as Durrës. These cities became vital centers of trade and cultural exchange, connecting the Taulantii to distant lands and peoples. This strategic position brought both prosperity and risk. The wealth generated by trade and agriculture made the Taulantii a target for ambitious neighbors, while their mountainous terrain offered some protection but also isolated them at times from potential allies. Living at the intersection of powerful cultures, the Taulantii were in constant contact and often conflict with the Greeks to the south and the Macedonians to the east. These interactions ranged from trade and alliances to fierce battles, as each side vied for influence and control over the region's resources and strategic routes. The Shkumbin River Valley, winding through their lands, was more than just a natural boundary, it was a lifeline. Control over this valley meant access to vital trade routes that linked the Adriatic coast with the interior of the Balkans, making the Taulantii key players in regional commerce and diplomacy. The Taulantii were skilled and versatile people. They cultivated the land as farmers, tended flocks as herders in the highlands, and navigated the Adriatic as experienced seafarers. Their ability to adapt to the land and sea allowed them to flourish in a landscape that could be both generous and unforgiving. Yet much of what we know about the Taulantii comes from the accounts of their rivals and conquerors. To truly understand their world, we must look beyond ancient prejudices and piece together their story through the careful work of archaeologists and historians, uncovering artifacts, ruins, and manuscripts that reveal the complexity and richness of Taulantii society. Unlike many Illyrian tribes, the Taulantii built a stable confederation that became a hereditary kingdom. Their close contact with Greek colonies led to a unique blend of Illyrian and Hellenic culture. The Taulantii were famed for their mead, using refined fermentation methods that set them apart. This specialization boosted their wealth and influence. Their kingdom endured intense pressure from Macedon and others, yet survived and even thrived. The Taulantii's adaptability and resilience made them a formidable force in the ancient Balkans. The Taulantii Confederation united several Illyrian tribes under a powerful ruling clan. This alliance provided mutual defense and a shared military command, with the Taulantii king at its head. While local tribes kept autonomy, the Confederation's main strength was military cooperation. Pooling resources allowed them to field large armies and defend against Macedon and Epirus. The Confederation also controlled trade along the Adriatic, generating wealth and stability. This structure enabled the Taulantii to become a dominant regional power. In the rugged heartlands of the ancient Balkans, where mountains met the sea and tribes vied for dominance, one leader rose above the rest, King Glaucius of the Taulantii. His reign unfolded during one of the most turbulent periods in history, as the shadow of Alexander the Great loomed over the region. Glaucius was not merely a warlord, but a visionary ruler who understood the delicate balance between force and diplomacy. He inherited a kingdom surrounded by powerful neighbors and constant threats, yet he managed to carve out a legacy that would echo through the ages. Early in his rule, Glaucius faced a formidable test, the Siege of Pelion. Defeated by Alexander's superior forces, he was forced to retreat, but this setback became a turning point. Rather than being crushed, Glaucius learned the importance of timing, strategic withdrawal, and the value of forging alliances with neighboring tribes. He realized that survival in this era depended not just on strength but on adaptability and the ability to unite others under a common cause. One of Glaucius's most defining moments came when he offered sanctuary to the infant Pyrrhus of Epirus. At great personal risk, he defied the demands of the Macedonians, sheltering the child and his mother. This act of courage and compassion not only protected a future king, but also laid the groundwork for a powerful alliance that would shape the destiny of the region. Glaucius's palace became a haven, a place where the seeds of future resistance against Macedonian dominance were sown. Years later, Glaucius played a pivotal role in restoring Pyrrhus to his rightful throne, demonstrating his commitment to his allies and his skill in political maneuvering. In a bold move, he also seized the strategic port of Epidamnus, expanding Taulantii influence along the Adriatic coast. This not only increased his kingdom's wealth and power but also secured vital trade routes, ensuring the prosperity of his people. Glaucius's reign was marked by a series of calculated military campaigns and shrewd diplomatic efforts. He convened councils of war, fortified his cities, and maintained a network of alliances that kept his enemies at bay. Through a blend of military skill and bold negotiation, he preserved the independence of the Taulantii, even as larger empires threatened to engulf them. His rule became a masterclass in survival, resilience, and political acumen. Glaucius understood that leadership was not just about conquest, but about knowing when to fight, when to retreat, and when to build bridges. His ability to read the shifting tides of power and act decisively ensured that his kingdom endured while others fell. By the end of his reign, Glaucius had transformed the Taulantii into a formidable force, respected and feared across the Adriatic. His legacy as a leader forged in conflict endures, a testament to the power of vision, courage, and adaptability in the face of overwhelming odds. Epidamnus, a wealthy Greek colony, was a prize both Greeks and Taulantii coveted. In 314 BC, Glaucius besieged the city, seeking to control its trade and wealth. Cassander of Macedon responded, leading to a major battle outside the city. The Macedonian phalanx ultimately forced the Taulantii to retreat. Glaucius had to promise not to attack Macedon's allies, curbing his ambitions. Though defeated, the siege marked the height of Taulantii ambition, and their willingness to challenge powerful neighbors. It cemented their reputation as a force to be reckoned with in the Adriatic. The Taulantii's relationship with the Greeks was a mix of trade, rivalry, and cultural exchange. Greek colonies like Epidamnus and Apollonia brought goods and ideas into Illyria, while Illyrian resources flowed out. Trade created interdependence but also tension, with disputes often leading to conflict. The Greeks fortified their cities against the Taulantii, who sought both economic and political dominance. Taulantii leaders adopted Greek strategies and customs, creating a hybrid elite. This Hellenization didn't erase their identity, it made them adaptable and unpredictable. The Taulantii became Illyrian kings fluent in the language of Greek power. The Taulantii's legacy is one of resilience and innovation in the Illyrian world. Their kingdom became a model for later Illyrian states, showing that unity could rival great powers. They shaped the history of the Adriatic, challenging Greeks and Macedonians alike. After Glaucius, their kingdom faded, likely absorbed by the rising Ardean kingdom. By Rome's conquest, the Taulantii had vanished as a political force, but their people remained. Over time, their language and customs disappeared, but their impact endured. The Taulantii remind us of the rich diversity of ancient Europe beyond Greece and Rome. The Taulantii's story is a window into a mysterious, often overlooked world. Much of their history is lost, pieced together from rivals' accounts and archaeology. Many questions remain about their daily life, beliefs, and the true meaning behind their name. The search for answers continues both in the soil of Albania and in ancient texts. Their story challenges us to look beyond familiar narratives and seek out forgotten civilizations. The Taulantii are just one piece of a vast, complex human story waiting to be rediscovered. The quest for knowledge is never ending. History's unwritten pages are still out there, waiting.